And we have Mr. Agarwal. We have Mr. Surendra Agarwal who will introduce about the new group Tech Forum have formed, medical devices. He will introduce about it and then introduce Ashish Gawade. We are bringing these medical series under the leadership of Mr. Surendra Agarwal, and at least we have decided to have five such lectures in coming months. So, without spending much time, I will request Mr. Surendra Agarwal to introduce today's speaker. All are requested to switch off their videos and audios also. Mute the mic. Over to Mr. Surendra Agarwal, who is engineer.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vilas, for the kind introduction. And before I introduce today's speaker, I like to introduce this medical devices group, which has been formed on the aegis of technical forum, So this is a very vibrant group which has been formed, and we are getting a lot of traction from the group members. There are basically four subgroups under the medical devices group. One group is concerned with finding out the ideas about innovative products, so that and mostly the academicians are involved in this group, and once the idea is there, then it goes into the incubation phase, and from incubation it goes to the prototyping phase. So this is one group which is very important, that we've developed some innovative products in India, and India is known as the capital for innovation. Second group, subgroup under this medical devices group is that of helping SMEs who was already in the medical devices group, are already in the medical devices, how to scale it up. So today's speaker is from that group, Geotronics, and we'll see how we can help him to scale up and become more of an international player. Third subgroup is helping the startups. Somebody is already there, he has got an idea, he has made a prototype. So then how do we scale it up, help him in getting funding and getting connected with the medical devices park. So that is the third group, subgroup. And fourth group is is medical devices park group. Actually, we started with the idea that we'll set up a medical devices park in Maharashtra, but it already appears there are four parks already there in Maharashtra. So we are going to do more of collaboration with the medical devices group and see how it develops further. So these are the basic framework of the medical devices group. Now, I'll take this opportunity of introducing today's speaker, Mr. Ashish Gawade, who is the co-founder of Geotronics. It gives me great pleasure basically in introducing today's speaker. Ashish Gawade did his B Mechanical in 1998 from Pune University and MS Mechanical Engineering from Wayne State University, USA in 2001. Thereafter, he did his MBA in 2005 from Ross School of Business, University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, USA. So quite a good academic background. With that, Ashish started his professional career with Tata Motors immediately after his graduation. By the way, I was also associated with Tata Motors for 23 years, Ashish. And I was instrumental in setting up what is known as MSD at that time. I don't know you have heard about it. You've heard about it. Okay. And we started with two people in 1978.
Oh,
68 basically. And
yeah.
it became Tata Technology later on. So
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
yeah, that is what it is. So anyway, coming back to the Ashish, he worked at the Ford Motor Company, USA as a product development engineer, and thereafter he has been a serial come technology entrepreneur. He is very passionate about developing businesses that positively impact environment and people at bottom of pyramid. I mean, it is something great that he's thinking about the environment and the people at the bottom of the pyramid. So that is basically the whole fundamentals on which this Geotronics is based. His co-founder is Anirudh Atre. Geotronics has received many awards and is one of the hottest medical devices startup in India. I hope this company can make use of medical devices park set up by the government of India and take his company an international brand. With this introduction, small introduction, I leave the platform to Ashish to address the Zoom meeting. Thank you, participants. Thank you.
Sir, thank you very much for the kind introduction. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'll start sharing the slides.
Yeah.
Is everybody able to see my slides?
Yes, very well.
Okay. Thank you. All right. In the background, what you're looking at on my Zoom screen is the picture of our product at the Lok Biradri Prakalpa Hemal Kasa. You see Dr. Digant Amte in the background, Dr. Prakash Amte's son. And so yeah, at Geotronics, my name is Ashish Gawade. Aniruddha is not online today, but he's the other co-founder with me. Some of you probably met him recently at the physical get-together that we had. So at Geotronics, we have developed the world's first hand-cranked defibrillator. Many of you may be familiar with the defibrillator, and in case some of you are not, a defibrillator is a device that is used to give a kind of high voltage shock to a cardiac arrest victim and save a life. You may have seen on TV that somebody collapses with the cardiac arrest. They give the chest compressions first, right? They give the chest compressions first and then followed by a high voltage shock. So essentially, defibrillator is a device to do that. So the question was, how do you do this in small town India, rural India, where there may or may not be electricity, and sometimes batteries do go bad. Batteries can be inherently unreliable. So we tried to solve this problem in Japan. Okay. We kindly acknowledge the support that we have received, financial and non-financial support that we have received from these entities. BIRAC, Department of Biotechnology, Department of Electronics, Department of Science and Technology, Indo-US Science and Technology Fund, Tata Social Alpha, USAID, India Sweden Innovation Center, Tata Social Enterprise Challenge, and Sankalp Global Forum and IKP Knowledge Park, Hyderabad. So the original inspiration to do something good for the society came from Manashakti Research Center in Lonavala, where Swami Vidyananda was the founder. He used to say that no matter what you do for your living professionally, just do 1 hour of seva per day. And we used to wonder, why can't we do it all day without becoming a sannyasi, right? Like, how do you do something meaningful for the society? So then came along Professor C.K. Prahlad at University of Michigan when we were pursuing our MBA, Ani and I both. So Professor C.K. Prahlad said that he taught us about Arvind Eye Hospital, where the quality of eye care is world class, but the cost is very low, like under 1,000 rupees or something, cataract surgery. Then Jaipur Foot, again, world class prosthetic limb, but very low cost. So these were the case studies that particularly inspired us. He did talk about other case studies, but those were not of relevance. Anything that had a humanitarian impact excited us. Okay. And here is a book by Swami Vidyananda, The Purpose of Universe, wherein he argues that, okay, Big Bang happened, universe came into existence, there was equality, equilibrium before Big Bang. And they say that several billion years later, there will be a big crunch and the world will go into nothingness. Again, started with a point and then will go back into a small point here, right? And then there are no accidents in science. Therefore, the conclusion of all this is that purpose of universe must be equality. Before Big Bang, there was equality, and after Big Crunch, there will be equality. Therefore, his message was, if purpose of universe is equality, purpose of human life should be to work for equality. So at Geotronics, our slogan is technology for equality. Our mission statement is technology for equality. Then here's the practical view, right? There was Yajna Sanskriti in India, right? Back in the Vedic era. So it combined capitalism and communism. And capitalism, what they do is like it awards talent, hard work, right? Intelligence. Whereas in communism, there is equality. So when Yajna Sanskriti, it's like a king used to conquer or win lot of kingdoms, win lot of wealth, and at the end of the career, he used to give away everything with that sentence, "Idan na mama, he maza nahi, ye mera nahi." It belongs to the society. So that is what Swamiji recommended. And great examples in capital, I mean, in corporate sector, are Tata Group, Infosys, the Murthy family in particular, right? And there are several other examples. So I'll quickly go through this. We think so. Strategy 101, right? In B school, they teach you this thing, 2x2 metrics for everything. There's earning on the y-axis and there is giving on the low axis. So sustainable companies are ones that earn a lot and give a lot. And NGOs are they are high on giving, but they don't necessarily earn. So companies should aim to be like Tata's or Infosys, right? Be sustainable. So another thing is, what is the purpose of whatever we are doing? So it's like simple things like, okay, are we designing a water filter or trying to provide water that is good for health, right? So water that is good for health is the answer, not designing a water filter. Solution could be something else. Actually, we may not have time, but do check out the videos about Arvind Hospital, Jaipur Food. These are the ones that actually inspired us. And uh, even today, like people always advise us, okay, put some consumables, and you'll make more money through that revenue, consumables revenue, service revenue, and all that. We have always stayed away from it because it is damaging. It can be damaging to. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but wherever it is avoidable, why not avoid it, right? So that is what we have been trying to do. Okay, and then yeah, revenue stream needs to come back into the company. For that, we are trying to do a IoT model and data, get money through data. So yeah, economic sustainability is important, but at the same time, environment is also important. Um, Also, the approach, just the approach of whatever we are doing, right? So sometimes we say, okay, my whatever I do is best in Pune or best in India or something. So what C.K. Prahlad used to say is, why not aim for being the best in the world? That approach, once you set that goal, that I want my product to be the best in the world, then that itself takes you much higher in terms of where you reach. It's like, when you prepare to I know killing tigers is not a good idea, but if you go by the proverb, traditional proverb, if you prepare to hunt a tiger, at least you will find a goat or something like that. So that's something, yeah. And product is always a bundle of attributes. So world-class product, good products are always number one, number two. So I used to work on the Ford F-150 pickup truck program in Ford US. I noticed why it was selling like it was number one selling product for 25 years. And here is the reason why it was, right? Ford F-150 was number one in terms of torque, the pulling ability, noise, vibration, harshness, it was number one, crash safety, package engineering, ergonomics, everywhere it was number one. So that's and number two in power. So that's what made it the best. So we have tried some of these things. Don't no claims here of anything done anything great or anything, but some of these approaches have helped us. So when Ani and I came back to India, our first product was a human powered generator for lighting. On the left, you see it was deployed in a small off-grid village in Vella Taluka of Pune district. Uh, um, Anirudh actually went for this installation along with some of my colleagues and other volunteers. They had to carry these human powered generators on their shoulders basically to reach this village. There were no roads and all that. But the same one was deployed in a corporate gym, that you see on the right hand side. So it's kind of interesting. Like same technology you invent can go to different markets, and fetch you different revenue streams. Social impact can also happen at the same time. Financial health can also be assured. So here is the problem we tried solving in Geotronics. Uh, India's death rate due to sudden cardiac arrest is 3 to 4 times higher, as seen on the y-axis, compared to Europe and North America, right? Uh, and the number of defibrillators available everywhere is very low, abysmally low. Like in UK, there is 1 per 3 ICU beds, UK as in United Kingdom, whereas in India, it's like 1 per 50 beds or something like that. And every year around the world, 1.8 million people die. Sorry, in just low and medium income countries like so India, Africa, South Southeast Asia, South Asia, Latin America. And in India alone, about 660,000 people, so almost 7 lakh people die because of cardiac arrest. And so we thought, then we realized that the problem is lack of electricity and lack of affordability. We have tried to solve both these problems here, and I'll explain how. Oh. So here is what we did before we started. See, we had burned our hands once with a rural device, right? So we said this time we won't do engineering first, we will do market research first. So we went and asked questions like who will buy, why they will buy, and at what price they will buy, so on and so forth. Yeah, and so we got good answers. We spoke to Dinanath Mangeshkar Hospital, several other hospitals. Then even in rural India, small doctors, small hospital owners, we spoke to them and all that. And then we also had to correct, reality check is important, right? So we had some crazy ideas in the beginning. We wanted to use, to eliminate the display and use a sound ECG. So sound ECG instead of a visual ECG that doctors are used to. So all cardiologists outrightly rejected the idea that sound ECG is not, it's an alien concept. And here's the thing, right? Skilling somebody, asking users to change their behavior is very, very difficult. Human beings are very funny that way. It's very, very difficult to bring about this change. So we dropped that idea of sound ECG in this defibrillator. Uh, and hello, I think somebody is on unmute. Hello. Okay. Okay. And earlier we were thinking that we will not offer AC mains charging. We will only offer a hand crank generator. Again, that we thought was too risky, and also the international standard demanded that there should be 2 power sources. So traditionally in defibrillators, no, I take that back. I take that back. I don't think it was international standard. It was our decision. Not this was not. Yeah. So it was our decision to offer one more backup. The basic device works on AC mains directly, and when AC mains is not available, say like 1% of time or whatever percent of time, depending on the location, we have a hand crank generator built in. So you can essentially crank it up. You can rotate the generator and power it up in few seconds and save a life. So that's what the device does. Okay. So certain features were offered based on this market research study. So next round of market research was what features to offer, what not to offer, what to reject, what to accept. So we are all human beings. We have our biases. What matters is what does the customer want, right? And actually need, and then want. So based on that, some of the ideas were corrected, and then we marched along. And in spite of that, we still made mistakes. Okay. So here's the funny thing. Traditionally, like whether the defibrillator is charged or not, like what it does is you take the energy either from your adapter from 12 volts or 19 volts, all the way up to 2000 volts, and then you deliver a shock. So that's what a defibrillator does, right? And so engineers are happy to see the graph where it's charging. Now charge complete. Engineers are happy. Okay, it's the device is charged. See, for doctors, any healthcare worker, doctors, nurses, EMT technicians, for them, the work actually begins. The work actually begins when the device is charged. They want to pick up the paddles, place it somewhere, fire the fire the shock. Okay. And what we did it because just to we question why do we need test pads there? we will not offer. So we didn't offer test pads initially. So here is, guess what happened? Because there were no test pads to fire the shock on, people used to pick up the paddles, then short it, electrically short circuit it and fire a shock, thereby destroying the circuits inside. So in the first few months, we incurred heavy warranty on all these. Okay? So in spite of all these, we did 5 rounds of market research for various reasons. In spite of that, we found out that it's still possible to make mistakes, but we fixed it, and then warranty drastically came down. Okay, so it became pretty solid after that. Then we did studies on how much human effort is required. We had people come in, like, okay, younger males, they could power it up in 5 seconds, 6 seconds. Older females were taking longer time, so we increased the length of the crank. Lever effect, basically, lever 101, right? Yeah, mechanics 101. We increased the length of the lever, and then had older females crank it, and so that then it became bearable. That effort became bearable for them. So once that was done, that was okay. But now, as you can imagine, see, if I am cranking in this device, see, you're seeing this device here. Okay, there is a crank here on this side. I don't know if it's visible, but I'll show you the image somewhere. Let's be there once. Let's see. Okay, yeah, this is the image. Okay, so you see this. Hope you are able to see in the mouse on the screen on my right hand side on the screen. I'm able to see this crank here. Okay, the black colored crank. So this crank, because it had to be made longer for older women. Why older women? Like, they have less muscle mass, right? That's why the younger males are the strongest with more muscle mass. Yeah, and I'm somewhere in the middle probably. So anyway, uh, the design had to be done. It had to have a tall boy attitude. Like, it had to be made taller. The It's not bulky, it's not heavy, but it had to be made taller to accommodate a longer crank. So sometimes when you optimize a certain parameter, it drives other attributes. Like, it had to have a vertical kind of oriented design. Okay. So it drove other things. So muscular effort was studied and all. And then comes the durability part. So as far as the durability of the device is concerned, most devices we noticed in the market, within 100 shocks, they would die, or 200 shocks max. These are also estimates, and I suspect they die much sooner than that. Some of the local brands and uh, brands from the neighboring country will be, yeah. So, but what does international standard demand, right? So there is a IC standard which says, like, for just general defibrillator, there is no number of shocks that it specifies. But if you want to call yourself a frequently used defibrillator, then it must be able to deliver 2,500 shocks. So we tried to meet that standard. We started testing and testing and testing. It passed 2,500. So there is always variability in the system. So we said it has to do more than that, so that every single device passes 2,500. So we did 3,000, 4,000. We continued the test. And at Ford, when Ani and I worked at Ford in US, there was a test we used to do, which is called test to failure. So we said, let's see when this is actually going to fail, right? We kept testing it, and then it reached 16,000 shocks, which is 6 times more than the international standard, and still the device had not failed. We said, okay, enough is enough now. I think we don't need to over optimize in one direction. We put that test engineer and put her on some other task, because highly paid test engineer only doing shocks all day is not probably a good idea. So that's the DNA kind of we developed at Ford, like build Ford tough, as we used to call it, right? And another thing about upfront planning is, if we plan for international standards, or if we plan what categories, what segments we want to hit upfront, then it becomes easier. See, we had planned for the vibration test and drop test from 2.5 feet on hard floor and all that. We got ARAI to test it actually later on, and we passed. We are the only Indian company to have a ambulance grade defibrillator. No, nobody else has been able to. It's not that they could not have done it. It's just that they didn't keep the vision, they didn't plan it, and that's all. So we because we spoke to ambulance manufacturers, they gave us this insight that they need us to pass this standard. We said, okay, we'll study your standard and we'll pass it. and we pass the standard. So upfront planning is very important, but because once your dies and molds are done, it is super expensive to redo all the tooling, and it's a lot of effort as well. It again starts with all the styling and styling, mechanical engineering, mold design, and die, which is art and a science, and yeah, sometimes a black black box in itself. So that black box, I wanted to use the word something like a yeah, something. Like a weird box that will open a new can of worms. So anyway, and we launched the product in on 25th of January 2019. So 1.5 years, just almost 1.5 years before COVID hit. And but during COVID, we had a lot of problems. The whole supply chain got disrupted, and we had orders for 300, 400 devices, but hardly material for 3, 4 devices. We couldn't do anything. So DST came to our help, and they helped us scale up our manufacturing facilities and provided us some soft loan. Using that, we were able to scale up the facility right now we have to 12 units per day. We can make 12 units per day. We have tested a line for 12 units per day. We can roughly make, 10 units per day we can easily make. Now the challenge is to sell those many. There's market, but we don't have the team, the size, the bandwidth to sell those many. So selling is the main part now remaining. We are good at R&D, good at manufacturing, selling, distribution is something we are still learning. So here is what the product is at. We have a dual powered and triple powered and the ambulance grade, 3 products now. In the dual powered, it works on grid electricity directly and hand crank generator. Because in this one, you don't have a battery. Every year you save between 50,000. The end user saves between 15,000 to 40,000 rupees worth of cost per year. So in 10 years, that's 4 lakhs of saving or 1.5 lakhs of saving. Way more saving than the cost of a defibrillator, at least our defibrillator. So we say that we are the lowest total cost of ownership wise in the world. Upfront price wise, we might be higher than some really bad brand or some really like Chinese brands or whatever, right? But in terms of total cost of ownership, because we don't need any batteries, we are the best in the world, and we are at 1/7 the cost or 1/13 of the cost. In terms of cycle life is counted as like number of shocks you fired. Remember the number 16,000. So we fired 16,000 shocks. So this is 6 times more than international standard and 100 times more than a lot of competitors. So 100 times more like. So we never think incrementally, okay, we are 10% better than the competition, 20% better. No, give something that's good for the environment, that will last for at least 10 years or so, because it's a era of climate change again. We have to make sure we don't create too much e-trash and, so on and so forth. So the no battery is completely that way green, maintenance free, and we are the only ambulance grade device. There is an international standard for ambulance worthiness. It's called European EN 1789, and Indian equivalent is AIS 125. So we have passed the AIS 125 standard, and it's a copy paste of the European one. We have one granted, 3 patents have been filed, one granted design registration, 6+ trademarks actually, and a bunch of ideas, but no funding to file more patents. That's where we are at. 4 of our devices went to ISRO. That's Rani, co-founder Aniruddha Atre, seen in the picture. He actually went for the installation to ISRO, and ISRO trusted us with 4 devices. It's been there for 1 year. We recently completed 1 year at ISRO, and they're happy with the device. And they accepted the device after a really grueling technical interview. That was the most technical interview we ever had, because as you can imagine, they literally send a rocket scientist to talk about all the technical aspects of all this. The next model we launched was Trishul. Trishul, as its name suggests, is the 3 power sources. So we have a battery, which is we use only Panasonic battery. So we use a world-class Panasonic battery plus AC mains. And the third is the hand crank generator for a doomsday scenario. When nothing else in the world is working, this will still work. Is expected to work, right? That way. The name of the basic device is Sanmitra. Sanmitra means Sanmitra in Sanskrit or a lot of Indian languages, good friend, right? So it is a good friend of the heart. But at the same time, SAN means sinoatrial node of the heart. That node function gets affected. It goes haywire, and 1,000 weak nodes are formed around the heart, and that's why it's not functioning. So when you defibrillate a patient when you give a high voltage shock. Instead of those 1,000 weak nodes, one strong sinoatrial node remains. So it is a friend of, it is a mitra of sun. Sun mitra also means friend of the heart, the sinoatrial node of the heart. This is the ambulance grade device, and we are the only Indian company to make it here. And all the ambulance grade product, the cheapest ambulance grade device is 6.5 lakhs. The rest of the brands are 10 lakh plus, going up to 20 lakhs. Whereas our device is under 2 lakhs for the ambulance grade, and the range is 1 point something, just above 1 lakh to under 2 lakh. That's the range. So presently we have 500 plus devices across India. Very few have gone to Africa and Nepal. Real patients have been saved even in tier 2, 3, 4 towns, and of course in tier 1 towns. We have a manufacturing license from CDSCO, the MD9 manufacturing license. I already spoke of the ambulance. And the top picture that you see here is of AIIMS Nagpur. They also gave a recommendation letter during like COVID times. They were able to save a lot of patients using our device. As you can see the picture of the device. Lok Biradri Hemal Kasa Prakalpa, Dr. Prakash Amte's team. You can see Dr. Digant Amte's son in the picture. They also saved a lot of tribal lives. So this was particularly dear to the heart that they were able to save a lot of tribal lives using our defibrillator. And then on the left, you see me giving training to the COVID warriors during proper COVID emergency here at Sub-District Hospital, Karad. Then there is this hospital in Kerala, Choti Chapri, Rajasthan. Again, small tribal belt. Melghat, there is Mahan Trust in Melghat Tiger Reserve area, Amravati. ECHS is army, kind of army retirees. It's a hospital for army retirees. It's in Uttarakhand, near Roorkee. This is in, again, Maharashtra. So here is the social impact we have caused so far. 500 devices deployed. 62 are in COVID centers or COVID wards. I'm sure they got probably redeployed eventually in other departments of the same hospital. 80% are deployed in small towns like Mansar, Narayangao, Alefata, right? And 10% are in proper tribal PHCs, Gadchiroli, Nandurbar, Kondagaon, Maharashtra, Kondagaon, Dantewada. And all these are Nakshal affected areas, proper tribal belts of Chhattisgarh. Then most of the hospitals were able to purchase the device for the first time because of affordability and no recurring costs. A large number of them replaced a refurbished one or bought our device instead of a refurbished one. Till date, 1,000 plus patients have been saved by the device, and see, some of them were like 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and all the way up to like 78-year-olds, so on and so forth. See, each life is precious, and if we assume, based on the data, we assume the median age of the victim to be 50 years. So up to 60, people are at least active. Actually, they are active a lot more, but officially we assume only 60, right? So 10 years is the minimum life we added back to each victim, and multiplied by the number of patients. So, and India's per capita GDP is something like $2,286 or something like that, just under 23. So that number comes to 150 crores or $20 million. So the economic benefit of this venture, this innovation, is that we added back, we as Gyptronics together along with healthcare workers, right? We added back using this device 150 crores back to the country. And so far we have received through grants and loans roughly 6.5 crores is what we have received in grant. So a small investment in R&D in life-saving devices can give immense benefits back to the nation. So this is a good example of that. 150 crores added back to the economy and only a small amount. And by the way, founders' time is always free in all this case. But that's okay. But at least rupee to rupee, several times over, the benefit went back to the society, and it's continuously going back to the society. So way forward, we are looking for dealers across India. We have in some areas. We're looking for more. We are looking to export to all other developing countries, especially these three products: Africa, Asia, Latin America. And we are also looking for CSR funding And I'll have one more slide on that, and I'll explain why CSR funding is important. Because in government there is a lot of corruption, and therefore we, as a very honest company, we don't sell to the government. We have not been able to sell to the government. The only purchase order we received is from ISRO. All others were donations through DST funds or whatever funds or CSR funds. Uh, and private sector is where we sell, basically. I'll come to the next slide on that. And presently, we are also trying to raise a equity fund for expansion purpose. So here is a case study of Sub-District Hospital, Mandgaon in Konkan. It's on Mumbai-Goa highway, very close to the Mumbai-Goa highway. And we deployed the device there in January, around 7th or 8th of January 2022, because it was our first pilot that we won from the government of Maharashtra, right? I myself went along with my biomedical engineer, and I wanted to see with my eyes how is it, how are the processes like, what are the pitfalls we should avoid, and all that. So I went there. We went there, and they said you can't do training installation today. I said, you gave us an appointment. We came. We confirmed with you yesterday night itself. They said, yeah, but there is no electricity since morning, so you'll nothing can be done today. You'll have to go back and come back later. So we said, good. There is no electricity. We can prove that this device works without electricity. So that was a glimpse of what glimpse of what to expect in a small town, a very small town government hospital. This was not even a very tribal village or anything. It was just ordinary but small town. So we give the training. They were happy and all that. And within 25 days, as you can see the date on this, 31st of January, they said we saved 3 lives already: a 19-year-old boy, a 25-year-old boy, and a 75-year-old male. All three victims of like many youngsters. Why do they get cardiac? They probably get into accidents, drive fast, motorcycles or something, get into accidents, and then uh, because of blood loss, they may go into arrest. So this doctor was very happy with the device, and they gave us a recommendation letter. So this is a very good case study of why government sector needs to. And we asked them, do you get cardiac arrest victims often? The answer was yes. How often? Every 2-3 days. And then what do you do? Do you have not much answer. So we said, do you have a defibrillator? They said, we have, but it doesn't work. It's not in working condition. So they had a non-functional. Basically, they didn't have a defibrillator when we deployed it here. And then immediately they were able to save 3 lives and so on and so forth. So hence there is a real need for the device in government sector, and the progress is hindered by the fact that we are not able to deal with the corruption. I'm being very open and honest here. If you know any honest officers, they let us know and we can pitch it to them. But in general, it's very difficult to go there. So yeah, so we are looking for access to CSR funds in case you know any large companies who want to do CSR, and we can deploy in either government hospitals or in NGO hospitals. We get a lot of requests from NGOs, so that is also possible. Uh, One second, I'll quickly show you the yeah. Uh, Product video. Oops. Okay, while the screen is loading, let me continue. In the pre-entrepreneurial journey, Ani and I worked at large companies. I worked at Tata Motors and Ford and engineering. I never had to run. It was a lot of learning and humbling experience. I never had to run around for funds. And I always dealt with very capable suppliers like Siemens, Bosch, Visteon, Delphi. All these are, back then they were 30, $40 billion companies. I'm sure they are larger now. Whereas here I had to deal with all these MIDC area suppliers with less than 10 employees, 5 employees, and all that. So it was a lot of learning. Secondary market research data is available in India easily. We didn't have any of that here or much. We had bombed every funding proposal we wrote. So Venture Center helped us with that. And we always had an immature team in my previous startup. Right. So here we were able to hire better team, file patents and all because of the support that we got from BIRAC, BIG, IIPM, Indo-US and all that. Earlier, we used to assume that whenever you want technological contacts, collaboration, you go to the US. But Barrack sponsored us for a trip to Finland to a conference called Slash, and that helped make connections in Europe as well. So instead of just two co-founders talking, like we got access to a lot of experts from around the world. And earlier we used to do only engineering, but then we learned that market research first, right? And then we'll do engineering. All our earlier products in the earlier startup, and Ravade sir is familiar with us. He used to help us in our earlier startup also. So we had all nerdy, geeky looking products, not up to the mark. In this Geotonics, we hired a proper industrial designer in house who did a good job of doing the styling and all that. A patent, same with lots of patents. So presently we have patents, trade secrets, trademarks, and a lot of knowledge networks that we have built. So yeah, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. If there are questions, I'll take it. It's 10:41, so I think I overshot by 1 minute. Sorry about that. Yeah.
No problem. Thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. It was a hard journey for you, but you have really come up with the solution, and it's going to be, I think, India's pride and proud product. I must say, it should penetrate each and every village primary health center, which will
Thank you.
save lives. We have Mr. Agarwal who can conclude the discussions today. We meet every fortnight before we start the question and answer session. So we will open this platform for question and answers. Please identify yourself and raise your query. Over.
Gawade sir, I already mentioned two things in the text message chat box.
Oh, 1
You
second.
can speak out. You can speak out. Please speak out.
I'm Makaran Vaidya. I already put two comments in the chat box.
1 second. So inverter battery as an alternative third port, and okay, yeah. So uh, in hospitals, they have their own diesel generator. Okay. And some of them also have the power bank, the large power bank inverter, as they call it, and all that. But as I mentioned in the case study, in Sub-District Hospital Mandgaon, not a single device was working when we reached because of no power. Diesel generator was probably non-functional. So if you go to rural India, see, Ruby Hall and Dinanath are excellent hospitals in Pune. But if you go to small town India, the state of the hospitals can be quite bad over there. In one of the hospitals we went, and we said, where do we keep the device? They showed us, okay, keep it there. That whole place was smeared with blood. Can you believe that? The whole thing was smeared with blood, and they were asking us to keep the device in that area. So in theory, yes, we can have all kinds of things. Plus, the thing is, if a patient collapses in a parking lot, then nothing else is available if the device battery has failed. So this thing will work even in parking lots, ambulances, and corridors where wall plug may not be available. But indeed, it's good to have inverters, diesel generators, all of that. Not issue. But this is a mission critical kind of device, right? The window of opportunity to save a patient is 10 minutes. So every second counts. And if the patient is in parking lot or somewhere and there is no wall plug power, then this is the only source that is available.
Okay.
Sir,
Any more questions?
sir, my one message was deleted by myself, I think. I have mentioned about the ambulance also because while taking the patient to the hospital from his residence, some arrest also can come. So during that time, one can use the battery of the car itself, ambulance itself, I meant to say. Because that during the transporting the patient, the cranking handle is not going to help. the battery will help, I mean to say.
If you heard it carefully, we have three power options. We have our own battery inside the device. We have AC mains, which can work from your ambulance power point or from the wall plug, right? And we have a hand crank. So we are saying redundancy 1, redundancy 2, redundancy 3, ultra reliable. We are not eliminating other possibilities. We are saying all good. We are providing an additional source.
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
Yeah, it was mentioned. Anyway, any more questions? Abhijit, would you like to have any comments?
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. I've been following this journey of Ashish and Anirudh maybe since 2020 or maybe 2019, Ashish, maybe.
And we also met in 2008 at Vishay.
Yeah.
I came to meet
That was a
Ramdesh
long
Pandey.
time, but yeah. That was these BOPI devices, I remember.
Yeah. We were looking for a super capacitor back then, if you remember.
And I've known, I mean, Ashish and both have really spent a lot of time, energy on this, and I really hope that this venture becomes really successful. And it's a pity to hear about this corruption in government, Ashish. I think we have to get around this somehow. So having such a wonderful product and not being able to market, I think this is a big limitation here. So let's put our mind together. I think now we are together also as a forum. Let's put our mind together on how to, get around these topics. Yeah. Thanks for a wonderful presentation. Huh?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Abhijit, you can also say something about the tech park that you are in your mind.
Okay. So I sent an image or 2 slides in the morning. So I really thought about it a lot because the needs, and I also spoke to a lot of people in this industry now. And I think the needs of different kinds of equipments are very, very different. So it doesn't make sense for us to bring everything together in one park. I think we should restrict ourselves to electronic park, where we can bring in all the technologies needed for manufacturing, for scaling up, and also some test benches, collaborations all together. So, Rabbi sir, could you bring those slides on display if you have those slides?
You have permission to display if you are.
No, I am on my phone actually, so I am not able to.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm also on my mobile phone, so I can't do that. I don't know anybody else can do it.
One second, I usually have WhatsApp running on my desktop. Let me see. You have posted it today, right?
Yeah, early morning.
Oh, 1 second. What is how do I look up the medical devices journal?
Yeah.
Abhijit, I'm Anil Chaitanya. Are you talking about the slide medical equipment park electronics?
Yeah.
PDF? Okay, it's already opened at my place. I will just share it right now.
Okay, I also found.
Give me a second. Yes, I'm sure this is what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay. So if you can go to the second slide first, then I come back to this one. So I try to make this more visual for us to understand how it could look like. So the question here is, what do we ask the government when we are going to talk to them? What do we ask them? So maybe we ask them for a 2 square kilometer or 3 square kilometer area, so a large area where a park can be placed. By the way, all these are open for suggestions, questions, and discussion. So it's just a proposal from my side. So the blue block in the center that you see is actually the manufacturing area for these companies. So here we could have all the companies together in electronics, different products. We could have a permanent kind of showroom or a display room where companies can or customers can come in and have a look, like a demo room here. So if it's all electronics, then all these different products that we see on the market, measurements, the defibrillators, the kind of BP measuring, and all those equipments that we have, They can all be manufactured one location. We could have together in that park a supplier park, which means we could have all those metal parts, plastics, molds that Ashish was talking about all together. Some ceramics if they're needed for insulation for high voltage, or some other parts that are needed. So this could all be a part of this park. Then we would also need some automation, because if you want to scale up these things, then we need machines, special purpose machines, some chip shooters, wave soldering, all those kind of equipment for electronic manufacturing. We need their service centers to be available quickly. Some other automation if it is needed. So those kind of things are also possible in that same place. Also, some testing labs for reliability testing, some common, like we have at Nashik Engineering Cluster, we have at a reliability test park. So similar thing, we could do it here. And we also can have then some space for collaboration partners. We can have an ITI in-house where we have the labor needed for this special technology to be able to handle those kind of machines. We can have collaboration with IITs, universities, CDACs, or some special labs if they are needed. So those can all be brought together. And lastly, we also need some extra services. We need some government licensing. We need effluent treatment plant if it is needed. ESIC, some warehouses if it is for exports. Some IPR help. So all those things can be brought together under one roof. I mean, that's the idea. That's my thought. And if that happens, then it kind of really becomes an ecosystem, self-contained ecosystem for us. Probably help the companies who are engaged into this. And so this is actually visualization. And the first slide was exactly this, what I've told. So it was, let's say, for example, labor policies. We could have policies like what we have in SEZs, so no labor formation or things like this. So some incentives like PLI kind of incentives, we can bring it upfront, or CapEx incentives we can bring in upfront here. So those kind of topics. No? Could you go back to slide 2? Yeah. Yeah. So this is again, once again, this visualization of those ideas. But I would, at this point, I would like to keep it limited to electronic industry. I think that would be the best. Because another topic is, if somebody is already having a factory in Maharashtra, why would he shift to a park if you're already established?
Okay, Abhijit ji, excellent. I was going through just now, and I have something inputs on this. If you're done, I can share some few things for this.
Yeah, please.
Please go ahead, Anil.
Okay. See, there is a one person who is already long experience in such type of yeah, clusters and parks development. So I will introduce him. We will interact with him. And the name is Rahul Amrutkar. Recently, he has come with a electronic cluster part, new electronic cluster. And once we discuss with him, there will be lot of things added to our value. As well, we will be helping them to establish his stuff. Basically, near Khed Shivapur, there is a big land identified by them. It's a 18-acre free land is already available, plus additional land, it goes to around 25-30 acres. Huge land is there, and he's already planning electronic cluster for that. All details are with me. We will discuss on one-to-one after this meeting, because today's meeting agenda is not this. Coming back to our today's meeting agenda, I was going through the slides presented by Ashish Gawade ji, and he is looking for expansion in various countries as well as all over India through CSR funds or equity funds. There are various schemes available. Might be he has interacted. Plus, I can help him with my own knowledge sharing and information sharing, where he can be quickly reach to the last condition, that is a disbursement of fund. That is a more troublesome area in India, to identify schemes, approaching them, and finally disbursing the funds. This is the one side of coin. Other side of coin, Ashish Gawade is taking very carefully, taking care of all these things. So thank you, Abhijit ji, explaining about Tech Park, and thank you, Gawade ji, for explaining, showing us a excellent product. I'm done.
Thank you, Anil.
Thank you very
Thank you, Anil. Thank you, Anil, for this support. Yes, definitely TechForum Medical Devices Group should take up and support Ashish in all respects to make his delivery 15 defibrillators per month. That is what we discussed in the first meeting. We can have some concrete plan in our next physical meeting, which is scheduled on 22nd of December, mostly evening at Hotel Raviraj. And let someone come up with some good concrete plan, and we will definitely give a chance to speak. And what Anil has said, let us contact Rahul Amrutkar and see what best can be done, a collaborative effort. We have last 5 minutes. I would like to request Mr. Agarwal if you would like to conclude. Mr. Surendra Agarwal, please.
On behalf of the Technical Forum and Medical Devices Group, I would like to thank Ashish Gawade for a very good structured presentation. I have come across many entrepreneurs. I have been in this field of helping the entrepreneurs, startups, etc. But very few good presentations and very structured thinking in terms of how to approach the whole thing from the beginning and how to scale it up. So again, I wish him all the best and his team to take it forward. Whatever help Medical Forum, Medical Devices Forum can, or the group can give it to this Geotronics, we like to give it, and maybe some physical meeting will be good in taking it forward. So again, and thank you to Abhijit and others for their contribution towards the medical devices park, which some small presentation was done. I think it's a very promising thought, and though it will take a lot of time, I mean, it is not going to come up in 6 months time frame or something like that, but I think it is a step forward. So thank you once again to all the participants and for the good presentation and the introduction. Thank you.